Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Breaking the Cycle with Devin. This is the channel where we focus on how to achieve financial independence and how we can get there faster. Everything that I talk about on this channel, I'm trying firsthand or will in the near future. For today's topics, we're going to be talking about the one money lesson that you really need to know that they just don't teach you in school. Why they don't do that, I'll never know. And what is that lesson? Well, it's knowing what an asset is and knowing what a liability is. Knowing the difference between assets and liabilities will drastically change your net worth over your lifetime. Let's start with liabilities. Liabilities are far more commonly acquired than assets are in America, and it's one of the main reasons why the poor stay poor and the middle class never make it to the upper class. I have a very simple definition for liabilities. Liabilities are simply things that you acquire that don't make you money. It's a very simple definition. The only exception that there is to liabilities are things that you have to buy. Things like housing, utilities, food, etc. Just things like that that you simply have to buy and you don't have a choice. This is a very simple definition, but what does it really mean? I first want to explain that the difference between assets and liabilities become gray very, very quickly. Just because something doesn't necessarily give you a monetary value doesn't mean that it doesn't give you value in another sense. For example, better health, better mental state, buying better food to make yourself feel better just about doing things in your normal day. I simply want to imply the importance in limiting the amount of liabilities that you acquire. Let's start off with some of the most common liabilities that people actually acquire. Things like cars are liabilities. New clothing that you don't need are liabilities. Products that you use for a couple days and then you just never use again. Debt. Debt is a huge liability that should be avoided it should really almost always be avoided. The biggest liability that plague the American population is cars. The car that you drive is more than likely a liability. And more specifically, what I'm talking about is the cars people buy that they simply cannot afford. Yes, maybe you have enough money, maybe you make enough money in a month to pay off that car, but you can't afford to spend that much money on a car because you'll never be able to increase your net worth. Let me use an example to explain it. Our hypothetical character, Bob Fire, is a normal American. He has a $80,000 per year salary. He's investing $6,000 a year towards his Roth IRA, and he currently needs a new car for his family. Bob Fire decides to buy himself a nice $30,000 SUV. He finances it at 5% for 5 years. This means he will have a monthly payment of $500 a month. Now, Bob Fire can afford this. He makes plenty of money to be able to pay off the $500 monthly payment on his car indefinitely. But does that mean that it's a good decision for him? What Bob Fire is not thinking about is how this purchase will actually affect his net worth over the coming years. In the first 5 years of owning this vehicle, Bob Fire's SUV will only be worth $15,000. This means that he will roughly lose 50% of the car's value in the first 5 years. This means that just for owning that vehicle, Bob Fire will be decreasing his net worth by $4,000 a year for the next 5 years. So on one side, we have Bob Fire investing $6,000 a year into his Roth IRA, but then at the exact same time, he's acquiring liabilities like his car that depreciate $4,000 a year. And as you can see, you cannot build wealth while you are equally removing your own wealth. Bob Fire's net worth would only be increasing $2,000 a year because of this. On one side, he's investing $6,000 in his IRA, but on the other side, he's also depreciating $4,000 of his net worth every year. And this isn't even including his wife's car, which could also be financed and it can also be depreciating. You can quickly see how difficult it actually becomes to increase your net worth if you invest in too many liabilities and not enough in assets to actually grow your wealth. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. If Bob Fire is aware of this, and these are decisions that he chooses to make with all this information, then that's completely fine. But the problem is, unless someone has told him this, or he somehow came to this conclusion on his own, there's no way that he could possibly know that. And he could be slamming his head against the wall literally during the whole year trying to figure out why in the world he can't move up in life. And it's a simple problem if he doesn't know the difference between assets and liability. And you can quickly compound the difficulty of this problem when, after 5 to 7 years of owning the vehicle, he buys another vehicle. And you put yourself in this endless loop of purchasing new vehicles that are constantly depreciating while you're trying to build wealth, increase your net worth at the exact same time. And that is something that I can't stand for. And one of the reasons why I made this video. Now let's talk about assets. Assets, I also have a simple definition. It's simply things that you invest your money into that make you money. It's very simple. But what does that really mean? Let's talk about some common examples of what assets are. Properties are assets. They increase in value over time. So whatever you invest in those properties will be worth more in the future. Investing in the stock market, that is an asset. The investments that you put in the stock market will grow over time. A business, if you invest in your business and it allows you to make more money, that's investing in an asset. Investing in education. If you invest in an education and you're able to get a higher paying job afterwards, that's also an investment. But you have to be careful on that one. Taking out too much debt for a job that can never pay off that debt is not worth it. Make sure that if you're investing in an education so that you can acquire more assets over time, make sure you don't acquire too many liabilities while you're doing that. So, now that we know all that, let's redo this example. What could Bob Fire do better, which would actually allow him to decrease the amount of liabilities that he has and further increase the amount of assets that he has? So Bob Fire has the same $80,000 per year salary, and he's still investing $6,000 a year in his Roth IRA. But this time, instead of buying a brand new SUV for $30,000, he decides to buy himself a $10,000 used SUV that has about 70,000 miles on it. I don't recommend financing a vehicle, but in this case, to keep the examples the same, we will say that he finances the $10,000 car at the same 5% interest rate. So now, what is Bob's monthly payment? Bob's monthly payment is now only $100 a month on his vehicle, which means he has an extra $400 that he can put towards assets. So what Bob's going to do with his money is he's going to take those extra $400 that he now has sitting around and he's going to invest them in his 401k. Throw that money in the stock market and let it grow. So now Bob has an extra $4,800 that he's investing in his 401k that year. So his total for how much he's actually investing in that year is $6,000 towards his Roth IRA, and then an extra $4,800 that he saved by not buying a new vehicle. So in total, he's investing just shy of $10,000 a year in the stock market, or wherever asset he wants to put it in. And on the other hand, he's only losing about $1,000 a year towards depreciation because he bought a used car. So now he's investing $10,000 a year in assets and he's only losing $1,000 a year in liabilities. So now you can quickly see how a small change in Bob Fire's car purchasing decisions made a huge difference in the amount in his net worth, because now he's growing by $9,000 a year, not even including the amount of money that he'll be making off of those investments. Now, if you also include the amount of money that he'll be making off of his $10,000 a year investment into the market, his net worth in 5 years will be $60,000 higher than if he had bought that brand new car. And that is a huge difference. And if you compound this and you keep doing this year after year, just buying used cars instead of brand new cars, you could watch your net worth skyrocket. But you can't do that if you didn't know that. And a lot of people don't know this. And this is just one small example. If you expand this to the entire way that you view the world, and you focus on acquiring more assets and limiting the amount of liabilities, then your net worth will explode over the years. And that is one thing that will help you achieve financial independence faster. If you like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It takes a lot of time to make these videos. I'm putting a lot of effort into these, and I'm trying my best to improve the quality every single time that I make a new video. Thank you for coming to the channel. Hey, if you want to, you can also sign up for Webull and get 4 free stocks with a $100 deposit. And if you sign up for M1 Fiance, you'll also get $10. Links are down in the description. Thank you for coming to the channel. I'll see you guys next time.